May the force be with you is a phrase used to wish a person well to overcome a challenge. The invitation in this podcast, May the life force be with you, is to explore what it means to truly feel alive, to appreciate the physical, emotional and spiritual connection to our energy, and finally to understand how this impacts who you are and all that you do. May this conversation inspire you to thrive. This episode of May the Life Force Be With You is brought to you by Moment Company and the Moment Pebble. The Moment Pebble is a beautiful, natural stone, light-guided breathing device and is a unique gift for someone who needs that gentle reminder to stop and take a break, to take moments throughout their busy day and to practice mindfulness. Just head over to momentcompany.co, that's momentcompany.co, and enter the code LIFEFORCE at checkout to receive an exclusive 10% podcast discount. Hello. Where are you today, Karila?
I'm in Japan. I'm in Tokyo.
In Tokyo, wow. I'm off to Vegas today, so we're definitely both going bright light cities.
We are. We're hit the big cities. Are you excited about Vegas?
Yeah. I think I've just about got over my Australian jet lag, so goodness knows what the next couple of days will entail. So it's a magical mystery tour. But I work with some very lovely people and I'm really looking forward to seeing them in person because time flies and there's nothing better than that face-to-face human connection. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
And so are you going for work?
Yes. Yeah, I'm running what is called a generative change session. So, you know, if you think about, if you just want to keep doing the same thing, you might tweak little bits here and there, but generative change is about creating something that never existed before. And it's where, as a business, as people, you make those big leaps and bounds. But one of the very first parts of the exercise, and something that I shared at the beginning of the year as well, is that, you know, we get caught up in the destination. You know, we get caught up on like, what's the final place I need to get to. But there's so much discovery that happens on the way to the final destination that might actually change where you're going. So the very first part of generative change consulting is understanding where you are. What's your current state? You can't get to a future state if you don't appreciate current, because there's so many blind spots in where you are today that either can hamper you from going to your destination or might be thinking too small. You know, so you help people drop in. We use grounding techniques. We use something called coach, which is center, open, awareness, connect and hold. So it's kind of a breath / grounding.
Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure. So if you think it's just a technique to allow you to drop into your current state. So be present, be aware. So you start with, and it's coach. So it's really easy to understand because you want to be centered. So you focus on breathing into your stomach area, to your core, to your center, to your gut, your intuition. Then you move up and you take a couple of breaths into your heart. So you're looking to be open, welcome in whatever feeling or inkling that you might have. Then you go to awareness, which is thinking about your head, about your crown. You're understanding the environment around you, but also you're part of it. You're connected, but you're in it. So just bringing awareness to where you sit in the room, in the space that you're in. Then the next C is for connect. So you bring awareness to all three of those spaces and imagine breathing and connecting in and out of stomach, heart, and head. And then finally hold. Just sit with that sense of peace, that kind of sense of relaxation, and see what comes up. So that is what we do as a way to kind of drop people into the start of a 3-day leadership offsite.
And what kind of things come up for people?
I mean, the first thing that it's intended to do really is just to kind of drop whatever baggage, whatever perception, whatever stories that you might have been telling yourself as you walk into the room, let them go and just be present. And when people kind of feel grounded, they feel present, then quite often the conversation will go in a different direction from when you're just thinking purely from your head. Mm-hmm. And that's another big part of generative change consulting and coaching, is that you get people to use all of their intelligences. So using that meditative state is part of that. And we get people to stand up and kind of move and use metaphors and use their somatic expression, because we express so much in the twitch of a shoulder or the, grimace or, a flicker of a smile. And it's our job to kind of look for those signals and say, I sense that you like something that came up there, or that you're not actually fully congruent in saying yes, that you want to do this plan, because your whole body is signaling to me, no, stop. So by getting people literally out of their heads and into their bodies, using drawing, using visual aids, using, all of our intelligences and brains, because we're not just in the head, then it's a new way to kind of create change in organizations and in strategies and ways of thinking.
Sounds amazing. What an exciting. How many days are you doing this for?
We are there until Friday, so 3 days.
Wow. So I mean, that's quite a big, I feel like I'm in a similar boat to you of like the travel when working thing. Mm-hmm. Like you've got to hold space for this massive thing and these people. And then you've got that whole like time zone, jet lag, crazy, like it's really hard to travel and work, even though so lucky, so grateful.
Oh my gosh, I love it more than anything else. I really do.
Yeah. But there is a life force thing that comes with, like you're flying to Vegas today, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You're holding that workshop tomorrow.
Yes.
How are you going to hear? How are you going to? Because it is so different. Just for anybody listening, it is so different than when you go on holiday. Because when you go on holiday, you land and you get to like come into your own rhythm and your own pace. And it's just so different, isn't it? When you have a big long haul flight and then you have to go straight into work mode.
It's also harder, when you're the person holding space as well. There's like that double whammy, because your energy and what you bring into the room sets the tone. So coach. So my other colleague Alex, he's flying out as well. He's on his way from New Zealand, so we're kind of flying in the middle of the world.
Coming with different time zones.
Yeah, it busted my brain last night speaking to him, going, but it's tomorrow for you today, but I see you today, which is tomorrow, and oh my god, I'm really confused. We just gave up. I like see you in 20 hours. So interestingly, the opposite of coach state is crash, where you're contracted, you're very reactive to things, your mind is in a state of analysis paralysis, you are separated from yourself but also your environment around you, and it can lead you to be hurtful or hateful. So whenever you're feeling any of those crash moments is when you do coach, and they're the kind of two states that we're taught when we are learning NLP and generative change. So in order to avoid crash, we do things like meditation. We do grounding exercises. I meditate on the plane. I fast on the plane, all those things to set my system up to be ready when I'm there. Alex and I will hit the gym in the morning, some workout, get the body moving, get outside, get some natural daylight, and just try to do all the things that nourish you when you're not flying around the world. So finding those little moments, a good old disco nap, there is nothing better. Also helps as well. So yeah, it's just to try and find those things that help reset you in any form that you can, in order to avoid that crash, both brain and body moments. But how do you do it? How do you?
It's weird this time, because normally I find the jet lag in Japan like UK to Japan, it is killer. Like it's killer, and you're just wired all night, and then you're so tired all day. And this time, it's been a little bit. So I only got to Japan last night, and I've already noticed that since we've been doing this podcast, I've had more energy. Like, I think we've had so many inspiring conversations and activations that I have so much more energy than before we started this podcast. And we're nearly up to a year, and I've just noticed the effect of having more attention on my life force energy. And there are a few, and so like, I feel like I have more energy to be able to handle the jet lag, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a few things I did differently. The first was, normally I do a direct flight, and this time I was like, I'm going to do a split flight, and I'm going to give my body a bit more time to get there. And I think that actually helped, funnily enough, because it's like not such a shock. Like 12 hours later, you're in a different time zone. It was like 24 hours later, I was in a different time zone. So the flight was cheaper. And then like on both of the flights, one was 7 hours, one was 10, I was like, I am going to relax so hard on these flights. Like I am just going to really rest, and I'm going to do true rest. And like really indulge in the no Wi-Fi time off rest thing. So I did that. Then I stopped in Doha.
I stopped in Doha last week. How funny. We would have been. I was in Doha last week. What a crazy airport, right?
Crazy airport.
It's insane.
I went to a chemist in Doha because I did actually order some homeopathic jet lag stuff, and then I managed to lose it, and I was like, I know. And so I went to the chemist in Doha. They had this crazy stuff for jet lag that I just bought. They had dream water, which is water that makes you sleep. So I bought that.
I've had that before. Yeah.
They had a like melatonin spray, so I bought that, and like I was just like, I'm just going to dose myself up on this Doha stuff, and it seems I think that's worked to a degree, because definitely I found it easier to go to sleep on the plane because of that stuff.
Yes,
and then
I take melatonin on the plane.
Yeah, it really helps.
Yeah, it does.
And then when I got to, so I had the same thing as you, where like I went totally like time zone confused, but I got to Japan last night, and it was the big eclipse. So the big 8th of April eclipse. And for ages I thought that like I was going to be flying during the eclipse, but that's just because I got my times coming in. That's just because I have dyslexia with time zones. And actually, no, turns out I was in Japan for the eclipse. So I ended up doing a live from Japan, and suddenly being like, oh, I'm so glad that I have jet lag, because it means that I can do this live. So I ended up celebrating the fact that like being up at 3 a.m. was perfectly aligned for me to be able to do this live. And I think because I was in so much joy at being able to do the live from the eclipse, like it was the first time I just didn't have this like, oh, jet lag is a nightmare. I was suddenly like, I'm so happy, it's so brilliant that I've got this jet lag. I'm going to be able to be up for the eclipse and do this transmission. And the transmission was really, really energizing. And then I took the Doha stuff and went to sleep. And today I've woken up not feeling jet lagged for the first time ever on the first day in Japan.
That's really interesting.
So yeah, and I feel like it was because my attitude to it, maybe because of May the Life Force be with you, was so much more like, I'm just gonna you know, one of the things that actually came through in the eclipse is transmission. There was 2 pieces of guidance that like
This is exactly what I was going to ask you. Maybe it was the eclipse that gave you the booster charge or reset you, or like what do you think that eclipse energy was yesterday?
I mean, it was big. It was a big eclipse. You know, there was
Mm-hmm.
biblical prophecies around the eclipse. We
Yeah.
are all still here. Like,
We are what, sorry?
we are all
We are
still here.
we're all still
It
here.
didn't kill us.
Yes.
But it
Or
was
are we?
it was a big eclipse for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
energetically, you know, there was a lot of, you could have gone down a lot of rabbit holes with the meaning of this eclipse in
Mm-hmm.
terms of biblical prophecy and ascension and all sorts of things. And how my guides chose to work with it is, first they said this really interesting part of the activation they did was about power. And they said that you know, anybody, you know, because with the ascension prophecies also comes the apocalypse prophecies.
Okay.
And there's a lot of like I said, rabbit holes on the internet around people doing bad things under the energy of eclipses and things like that. And so my guides were talking about power, slightly in reference to that. And they were just like, anybody that is holding on to power doesn't understand power. They were like, power is a flow. It's like love or water. So if you're trying to hold on to power, you obviously don't have any power. You don't even know how to use it.
Or
And
you
like,
believe there's a scarcity of it that
yeah, they were like,
you're
you
not
don't
actually
have,
powerful.
they were like, if you hold it, if you're trying to hold on,
Yeah.
you miss the
You don't
point
have
of
it.
power. I
Yeah.
have to be in the flow more. Like the times when I'm out of my power is when I'm trying to, you know, trying to hold on to the old time zone I was in 24 hours ago. Like, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like, and then I've been sitting with it today about how, really noticing how much resistance there is to flow within me. And yet that's resistance to power. And then I had this beautiful insight about how you know, if power is a flow, then the only way we can actually hold it is if we hold it. So if there's more than one of us and it flows between us, you know, like the same way the mycelium hold energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I had this like total upgrade in the perception of energy. And then the other thing that the guides were talking about, because an eclipse is always like an opportunity to reset. And
Right.
they, you know, it's like power on, power off moment. So it's like a reset opportunity. And they were just talking about how, you know, if you want power to flow, then you've got to try and not do debt, and not do debt in every sense of the word. So stopping that kind of consciousness of like, I did this for you, therefore you owe me for this. And they were kind of talking all about how debt is one of the biggest ways we stop the flow of our own power. And then it was like people were asking like, well, how do you do that? And they were like, well, you have to be totally requited and in the moment. Like you have to fully receive what you're doing in order for there not to be any debt. If you're doing it and you're not fully receiving it, you're automatically creating a debt. And so in a way that's also, I feel like, helped with the jet lag in terms of today I've been like, I am fully receiving being here in Japan, and like fully delighting in everything about being here in Japan, as opposed to being like, oh, I haven't had enough sleep, or do you see what I mean?
Which is making you feel powerful, which is topping up your life force and giving you that energy, and at the same time being fully present. Like all of those things then ladder up as a result of that first sort of conscious moment.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. It's
Can I ask if your energy booster and outlook is also thanks to the fairies? Because last time we spoke, you were off, you were bathing in the fairy waterfalls. You've had quite a week, and I have to say, you did a transmission from the waterfall.
yeah.
And I did what your guides told me, and I listened to it 3 times. I did, and I listened to it before, during, and after the eclipse. And I just have to share something with you, because it was the strangest thing that happened while I was doing it, which I know you love when strange things happen. Yesterday afternoon, when I did it, like roughly around sort of the eclipse hitting Mexico kind of time,
Yeah.
I wasn't fully conscious, but I was still kind of like in a meditative state. And I just had ginger. I could smell, I could taste, I desired to eat fresh ginger. I just had this overwhelming sense of ginger. It's so bizarre. You know, you can literally smell and taste something. I was like, I really want fresh ginger. I need to go and get a ginger shot. I need to like go to the supermarket or something. So I've been looking at like what ginger means, and I think it is quite a healing.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, it has quite healing properties, and it's something. Yeah, so maybe I just needed a little bit of self healing in that moment. But I was just overwhelmed by my taste and smell senses by ginger halfway through that transmission. So there you go.
It's amazing.
Totally random thing.
That's tunneling. You can smell spirit, like especially the plant spirits. You absolutely can. You know, that's amazing. And what an amazing medicine. Ginger is an amazing medicine.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Louise talked about it when we had her on Warm Your Potatoes, about how it kind of clears out your kidneys. It's kind of an autumnal thing. Maybe my body after a summer and winter in Australia thinks I'm going into autumn because it's really confused by the cold of the UK. And it's like, you need ginger, girl. I don't know, but I guess what I wanted just to share was like, sometimes you don't need a reason or a logic or whatever. I'm curious, and I love it when I am able to let go and meditate, and through your guidance something came up, and sometimes a scent, a sound, a word, a memory, or a taste does come into your into your consciousness. And that is sort of going back to the very beginning. That's why in generative change consulting, which sounds very digital words, but that's why we get people to use all of their intelligences, all of their emotions, to stand up, to move, to use metaphors, to draw, because there's so much information that we're receiving all the time from ourselves and our different levels of consciousness, and once we learn to tap into it, things do just pop up unexpectedly and take us on a different path. So,
and in terms of power being flow, it's like you've got to be able to hear that flow. Like
you've got to be quiet to hear.
For you, my kind of my phrase of this eclipse is like, get out of your soul's way. Like, it is time to get out of the way of your soul. And like, to me, it sounds like the this invitation to open up to more intelligences than the ones you're used to using. Those intelligences, they help you to hear what your soul wants to do. Like, I need ginger right now, but like, it's actually important when spirit batters you with something really strongly, like giving you the scent. It's because it is actually really important in terms of you receiving the energy of that moment, or digesting the energy of that moment, or being able to then get on a plane. Like, there is a reason why that is being pressed upon you.
Well,
And
I was editing our episode with Solara yesterday, or looking at our notes for it, which is amazing, by the way, everybody. If you haven't, go and listen to the Way Shore, because it was just an incredible, incredible conversation we had with her. And you know, she talks about Starlight Council and Pleiadians, and you know, things that people would go, "What are you talking about, extraterrestrial?" And she also translates it to showing her children guidance and authenticity in her path by demonstrating the beauty of synchronicities, of manifestation, of her belief in a different way of doing things. And she's like, don't try and persuade people to their awakened path, show them. And so and that was her demonstration was, look for those synchronicities. And the more you become aware of them, the more they are the signals to follow something, or to follow a path, or at least be curious. And I think that's what we're saying, isn't it? It's find those little moments, but you have to be aware to see them. And when you do, it's so much fun. When you go, I was just thinking of you, or I just did that thing, or I was just in Doha. There's beautiful little moments every day, and it is so much fun.
It is so fun. It's like playing Hunt the Thimble, but it's like Hunt the Park with the universe. It's so fun. And actually, I can't believe this is a fun moment, because you asked about the fairy pool. Yeah. And when I was there, I realized, because as you know, I was finding it ridiculous. Everybody was finding it ridiculous that I had to go and pay the fairies back. Oh. But when I was there, what I really, we had these 3 very powerful ceremonies. I had the best time. There was like six
you
friends.
You have joy on your face, I can tell.
Oh my God. I was just, home is your village, and my village was muddy and multi-dimensional and laughing the whole time. And we just had the best time, and we were getting high off the land and doing these really profound, deep ceremonies. And what I realized as this time there unfolded, and it's actually, given all the land work that I've done, it's actually quite rare for me to go just one place and not do anything else other than, so it was really luxurious to be able. What they showed, what I realized was that they were teaching by example, just like Solara had said, because by saying you have to pay back for the wish, they were teaching
you debt as well.
Debt. Yeah, they were teaching don't have debt. They were teaching requited power by example. And I realized that they really, they really showed me this. There was no shame, there was no guilt, there was no apology. It was just we've given you this, and therefore you need to come back, and you need to pay back for it. But there wasn't any discomfort. Do you see what I mean? It was
it was an exchange that felt fair. If there's a fair exchange, then there's peace with that. You're
there's
okay.
No debt. There's no one of the things we were talking to last night is ultimately too much debt leads to hate.
There's an imbalance.
And I feel it was and I even made a video about how they were teaching me by example rather than the need for the gift. They were if you are going to, I'd said I want more magic. I want this level of manifestation that I experienced in Egypt in my life, because that was wicked. And I was I want to learn how to do that all the time. And I realized as soon as I got there, it was I understood that they were not going to give me magic. They were going to show me how the level of energy you have to sustain if you want that level of manifestation, and the fact that if you want that level of manifestation, you then cannot have debt in your power. You have to You have to be requited in it. You have to like keep the energy, keep the power flowing. And and then this is all tying together now, because I'm like, and so everything has to be about like, how are you going to keep the flow going?
And by flow, do you mean that kind of giving and receiving, like we've talked about before, where there's an equal energy that passes?
Kind of in terms of what was said last night as well, about like, if power is flow, anytime you're not living in a way that is honoring the flow, that is honoring the energy circulating, the energy, flow is movement. And we've obviously talked so much about movement on May the Life Force be with you. It's like, if you're not honoring the movement, then you haven't got the power, because you can't hold the power because it's flow. So all you can do is keep being part of the movement.
So perhaps just what I'm riffing off you saying that is that when people say they're stuck, or you feel like you have no choice and something doesn't feel right, those are the moments where you're like, right, okay, I need to have a moment to think about why I feel stuck, because we're never stuck, right? We are always in flow. It's just that the stories that we are telling ourselves related to a specific set of circumstances, because one thing that is always true is that we're always moving and things are always changing around us, whether we feel it directly or not. And so maybe those kind of stuck moments are the ones that are the check-ins for how, like, that I'm out of my flow, I'm not in my power, and it's just a kind of reset awareness. Yeah,
I think it's that you're holding on to your power. You're trying to hold on to something.
Maybe by not changing things, which sometimes, like, if you're not happy, change something or be at peace with it.
Surrender to the change of it, like surrender to the, it's like, what is what is moving, and kind of catch the movement, because that is the direction that the soul is going in. That is the, and
so listening to that inner guidance.
Which is coming back to the multi-intelligences and the belly and the.
And again, it's not about those massive grand gestures either. It can be, I'm feeling stuck, but I might go for a walk this morning. I'm feeling stuck, but I might call a friend that I haven't spoken to for a while. Or I'm feeling stuck, so you know what? I'm going to get this thing that I've been putting off for weeks out the way first thing this morning. I'm going to congratulate myself and, I don't feel as stuck anymore. The whole kind of eat the frog first. So there's definitely tiny little changes that we can make in our days to get rid of that, to minimize that feeling. And what I would encourage is, I try and congratulate myself when I do some of those things, so I feel more in flow. I feel like I'm topping up my energy as a result of it. I go, hey, well done, yay. And you get a little bit of a kick.
It's so interesting you say that, because I was going to say, like, I feel like celebrating is the key to becoming unstuck.
Yes.
My guides often say grief and celebration are two flows of the same energy. And, like, it's a bit like the experience I just had of being really grateful for the jet lag, because it meant I could be up for the eclipse.
So reframing.
To frame it in a, like, find the thing that you can celebrate. And there's something about the energy of celebration that just gets the energy moving again. I think that's why, to bring it back to the fairies, that's why the fairies come, like, if anybody has ever channeled fairies or had the privilege of channeling fairies, like, they are in this constant state of celebration of life, like, there is just this joy that comes, that it's like they find the funny in everything, like, everything is joy, everything is just this excuse for a party.
And that's where I feel you notice synchronicities more, though, because if you're being playful with the this happened because, and even if it's a not so much fun thing, but you reframe it, then you can make everything into play.
Yeah.
Which is
which is then you're in the game of the universe, and the universe absolutely has a brilliant sense of humor, synchronicity wise, and like
I'm going to look for some fun ones when I travel. That's my favorite time to book as well. So tell me, because I got to go to the airport soon. Tell me what are you up to in Japan this week? Share with us what you're going to be doing.
This is my 5th time working in Japan. I'm celebrating that. I'm very, very lucky, and I am working. I'm doing one-to-ones, and then I'm doing workshops at the weekend, and then the following weekend there's this massive Mind, Body and Spirit festival in Osaka that I am speaking at. And I've never done the festival before, so that's super exciting.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing!
Yeah, and then there's the like land work reason behind it all, like the astrology for the time I'm here and stuff is amazing. So like there's also the spirit reason of like they want to work at the festival and do this massive land work on the big Uranus Jupiter transit, which is the day of that festival. What's
the name of the festival?
I don't know. Japanese. Like, can I just say, like, the Japanese are hilarious to me. Like, everything about them is beautiful, and then it's different. Like,
my sister was just back from Japan today. She was actually at the Grand Prix, so very different reason you were going. But I'm can't wait to hear about all the differences of the culture. It's such a fascinating place to me.
Oh, it really is. Like, I was laughing because there's a sign up in the lift of the hotel that is like, if you don't want your room cleaned, then you can put a sign on the door, which is pretty standard, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then they put this after note that if you do that 2 days in a row, they will just come and clean your room. I'm like,
an acceptable level of hygiene that we have in
only in Japan would they be like, yeah, but
there's another rule. There's a rule. That's what my sister said as well. Everything is super efficient, like amazingly efficient, but there comes a lot of rules and regulations with that, and you will stand here and you'll do this at this time, but it works efficiently. So that's the trade-off.
Oh my God, it works. It's all
for
so
flow. Cool. Maybe you need rules for flow. Maybe that's the message as well. You can't just have flow and chaos. Actually, everything runs smoothly because there are rails there that keep everybody, frictionless. I don't know. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, I can't wait to hear about the festival when you've done that work. That's going to be amazing.
I can't wait to hear about Vegas. It sounds amazing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's very different. There's no Japan in Vegas, I don't think. That's one of the cultures they haven't kind of, I can go to Caesar's Palace or Treasure Island or
They're missing out. They should have Robot Restaurant. They have Robot Restaurant here that is like a piece of Vegas in Japan.
Yeah, they don't. There's Excalibur, there's the Sphinx and the pyramids, and maybe I'll go to the pyramids for but yeah. Well, I just want to wish you an amazing week over there. Can't wait to hear about all the insights that you get with working with new people and in that new environment and the festival. It's going to be so interesting. So, hey, may the life force be with you this week.
And I wish you so much luck and love and happiness and celebration and multi-intelligence and ginger.
Mm-hmm.
We hope this conversation has topped up your life force energy. If it has, then please help us spread the life force. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. And may the life force be with all of us.